Welcome back with a smiling face. Links to previous episodes are given in the video description, so don't forget to like, subscribe and share the video. Taming the Ruthless Alpha. Episode 5. Chapter 41. Livy, Ricky, Caden, Zane, and I had a long talk. We planned it all out. I'd call Desiree, and ask to see her. Once with her, Caden, Zane, and Ricky would join me and try to convince her to help, but, without letting Skyla and Desiree's husband Cole know about any of this. It sounds bad, I know, but we needed to do it this way. Was it risky? Yes, and it was a long shot, but even Desiree hated knowing what they did to those girls. She felt repulsive not being able to do a thing about it. I could see the look on her face when I knew Rogue Girl was dragged into those dungeons in front of people. What we hated the most was that no one in our pack ever did a thing about it. Desiree had seen what happened before many times. She hadn't spent as much time as I did in the dungeon, but she was still sent a few times, and that was enough for her to witness it happening. Alpha Noah was so sure of himself and the authority he held over us that he was certain no one would ever talk against him. He was a sick man, and unfortunately for us, he always did what he needed to do to clean up after himself and Gunter. Ricky and I suddenly felt that there was a commotion within our pack. Something wasn't right. We exchanged looks, and our suspicions were correct as one of our guards barges in, knocking on the door before he opens it abruptly. Alpha, bad news. We have a problem, one of our younger guards, Zion, says as he came in running. We stood up. He looked in absolute shock. What is it? It's Alpha Skyla. He just got a call from his beta. His pack is under flames. All of it, it's on fire, and spreading quickly, Alpha. What do we do? Zion says, and my heart begins to race. Ricky. Desiree, I need to go save her, I say under my breath, making Freya whimper. Desiree may have stopped being my friend, but I never stopped being hers. As far as I knew, the possibility of her being forced to stop talking to me was grand. I have no doubt Desiree was ordered to stop talking to me by Leah or Alpha Noah. Get every guard and warrior to prepare for a rescue mission. Follow protocol, the fastest will follow Zane, Caden, and me. We'll shift to our wolf, we can make it there faster in wolf form. The rest will go on the convoys, ready to bring the wounded. Livy, you stay with the visiting Lunas. We need to get there as soon as possible, Ricky says, making me look at him with fear. No. Ricky, I'm going. No. That's out of the question, you need to stay, he says, making me angry. Ricky, that's my best friend out there. Desiree is my best friend, I need to go save her. Please. I pleaded. My eyes watered, making me fight back tears and the lump in my throat. He and Caden look at each other for a second, before pursing his lips and sighing. He has no choice, and he knows it. But he ends up nodding his head, reluctant to the idea. The mind link was set out, and everyone began to gather the necessary equipment, and our visiting alphas and their lunas, as well as the guests they had brought, began to volunteer. Livy, you make this so hard for me. Fine. But, stay close at all times. I will, I said, feeling the adrenaline fill my body. I mean it, Liv. Stay. Close, he demands in his alpha voice, making me smile through my nervousness. I will. I promise. I say, holding his cheek in my hand and kissing his lips. We ran out of the office without further ado. People were scattering, gathering bags with necessities and first aid kits, and throwing them inside the convoys or hoisting them over their shoulders to take in case of emergency once they shifted. Skyla was going around looking for Leah and Evelyn. They had left the infirmary while we were in the office. But they were nowhere to be found. We gotta shift and leave now. We can look for your mate later, Alpha Skyla. If we wait any longer it will be too late. Ricky informs Skyla, making him nod nervously. Everyone, gather around, listen up. Alphas, thank you for volunteering to help. Now, we need to get there as fast as possible. All the women, stay alert and save as many children, women, and elderly members as possible. Our Luna will lead you there, she knows the way, so please, follow her orders. There are a lot of small houses scattered throughout the forest, which means you will have to run through loose debris that can catch on fire, fast, so make sure to stay safe. Listen, I mean it. There are a lot of dry trees and debris, the fire will spread fast. Men, stay vigilant. We need to make sure to stop the fire from spreading any further, turn it off, and make sure that rogues are not roaming around. They may take advantage of the situation and attack. Ricky says as he stands next to Skyla. I can tell Alpha Skyla is still scanning for Leah. No one seems to know where she is. It's irritating. This is her pack in danger, she should be out here, worried and ready to join us to save her members. All right. Let's not waste any more time. Everyone running, shift now. All the rest, to the vehicles and roll out. Ricky says, and without wasting any more time, I shift to my wolf. Freya takes over, she signals every female the way and we run off. We run through the woods, jumping over massive boulders, jumping from giant tree stumps to the others, going over streams and through massive shrubs, and sliding down loose gravel. And after what seemed forever because of the situation and my nerves, Freya begins to smell the fire. The forest is burning quickly, making Freya whimper before she begins to howl in pain. Many follow, howling after Freya. As mediocre as it may sound. Whether that pack liked me or not, it was still my home for my first 18 years. It hurt to think the Silver Moon pack could become extinct. Ricky and the men are easily half a mile ahead of us, and my nerves are getting the best of me. When we finally come up to the mountaintop of Silver Moon territory, I feel Freya's distress and my heart drops. There is fire everywhere, rising high off the ground, making trees fall as they are engulfed in flames. Help us! Please, someone, help! I can hear them from every direction. Running, trying their best to put the fire out. There were faint voices, farther off. I can hear the agony, the desperation in their voice. We waste no time and begin to work, save as many as possible. Get them to safety. Freya says, jumping into action, saving one body after the other, letting kids and elders ride on Freya's back, and getting them to safety. But there are a few babies, so I had to shift back, changing into clothes as fast as possible and getting the babies to safety. Our guys are running around and getting water hoses, to put the fire out. Some grab fire extinguishers and let the foam out until the container is left dry, tossing them and getting more. We can only hope that our convoys get here on time. I see Skyla running around, saving people as his body is covered in ashes. Most of us are covered in ashes, our spare clothes when we shifted back to our human form covered in mud, dirt, and ashes. But we can't give up. We go one house after another, leading my female warriors from one house to the other and saving everyone we can. But I am panicked, I don't see Desiree anywhere. I don't see Cole. And time is running out. But, maybe, I missed seeing her, and she was safe amongst the ones we had already rescued. The sun is starting to set, we've been here for hours and there is still a few fires scattered throughout. Most houses are completely destroyed, including the pack house. Luna, over here. Help me move this stump, one of the Lunas says as she pushes on the stump that had fallen in front of my old house, blocking the doorway. There was no other door, and the windows had bars on them, so there was no other way out. But it didn't matter, I doubt anyone lived there since I left. I looked and nodded. No one lives in that house, Luna, I tell her, but she looks at me puzzled. Luna, I can hear someone in there. We need to get them out, then I hear it. Very faint, but still, I hear it. Anyone out there? Please. Help me, my eyes widen in shock. Desiree. It's her. You need to help her, Liv. Freya says, whimpering in desperation. I run, grabbing the stump and pushing on it with all my strength, trying to move it out of the way, but it's so heavy. Then it lifts off like nothing, and I turn, seeing Ricky and Zane behind us. Thank you, I say, grasping for air. I turn, running inside, not realizing yet that my pants were slightly burnt from the stump. I see her there. Desiree sits with her knees bent next to Cole's unconscious body. Desiree! I yell, and she jumps to her feet in shock. She hugs me, crying her eyes out. Livy! Oh goddess, thank you! It's you! But... how? Am I dreaming? Am I dead? She asks, pulling away from me. No, dummy. It's me. I thought you were dead. I thought I'd never see you again. Livy, I am so sorry, I should have never stopped talking to you. I am so sorry, she says, crying. Day, it's okay. Come, we're here to help. Let's get you out of here, okay? I say, holding her around her shoulders. I look at Ricky, who is checking on Cole. He's out cold. He probably inhaled too much smoke and passed out. We need to get him to the convoys and get him some oxygen, fast, Ricky says as he grabs his body, places him over his shoulder, and begins to walk out. Desiree says in shock. My mate, Alpha Alaric Danelli, I say with pride, making her mouth agape. Come on, let's get you out of here, I say, smiling. Thank you, Luna, I say to the other Luna, making her smile. The thing about Ricky is, he really does look like he's mean. Always with a serious face that makes you back up and not dare provoke him. But he's the sweetest man I've ever known. The mayhem slowly dies down, and the fires are put out, but everything is gone. And I mean everything. The infirmary, the houses, the pack house. Everything is destroyed. Consumed by the fire to smithereens. How did this fire start? More importantly, what will we do now? Silver Moon Pack was now without territory. They couldn't possibly stay here. Not until it was rebuilt. We have no choice. We need to give them asylum. Either you take them in, or I do. Caden says as he and Ricky talk privately. Skyla refused to rest. He walked around, giving bottles of water to everyone, checking up on the ones who were hurt, and consoling the little kids. We can take them in. We have plenty of room for them. I dared to cut them off. Ricky crossed his hands, looking at me with concern as he clenched his jaw. Baby! Are you sure? I mean, you wanted them out of our pack, and now you want to give them hospitality? Think about it, I mean. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable with their presence. I'll be fine, Ricky. They need a place to stay while this pack gets restored. Besides, our pack has been in the same position before, right? The best thing for us to do is to lend a hand, just as our pack was lent a hand in the past. I said as I remembered Ricky telling me the sad story of the day his mom was taken away and our pack suffered a major loss. Well, in that case, then it's settled. The Silver Moon Pack will reside within our walls until they can re-establish their grounds again. Ricky says, but if at any time you feel unsafe or uncomfortable, you need to let me know. Your wellness and safety are more important to me. Understood, he says, looking at me as he hugs me. I smile. Was I sure about this? No. But I couldn't bear to see them become homeless. This was what set me different from them. I was willing to open my doors to them, while they will have no choice but to look back and reminisce about the way they treated me in the past. I look over to one of the convoys and see the former Luna looking back at me with shock in her eyes. She sat as one of our girls took care of the burn she had suffered on her arm. But the look on her face as sees who my arms are wrapped around. Priceless. Yet Alpha Noah, her mate, was now here in sight. Livy, as soon as I was ready to sit, Ricky pulls me up, signaling one of the girls. Oh, no. You need to get that leg checked first, young lady, he says, making me look at him puzzled. Luna, can I take a look at your leg, please? One of our girl guards says, pointing at my leg. I look down and realize my pants were slightly burnt. Hey! When did that happen? Okay, sure. But, I think it's healed already. Still, you should get it checked, sweetheart, Ricky says, cupping my face. The only thing that gave me peace was seeing my friend Desiree being taken care of. Cole had come back, and they had an oxygen mask on him while he recovered. I didn't feel any pain, so I doubted that it got to my skin, but I let her check me anyway. If I was hurt, not only Freya and I would have felt it, but so would Ricky and Black. My skin, if it had been burned slightly, was now healed anyway. It was just a thin tint of red, disappearing quickly. The only thing left behind was the burnt marks on my pants. Ricky stood by me as the girl pressed a thin layer of ointment with his hands crossed over his chest. He knew I wasn't hurt, but he still worried, looking at me as he bit his bottom lip nervously. After she was done, she got up and smiled. All done. Would you like a lollipop for being a good girl, Luna? She says, making me chuckle. She chuckles but gives me one anyway, and walks off. And yes, I ate that sucker. They thought of everything, bringing tiny colorful lollipops to calm the little kids as they were being saved. Exhaustion was getting the best of me by this point. I rested my head on Ricky's chest as he held me in his arms. You know what really worries me, is the fact that the dungeons are completely destroyed. There is no way we can get in there now and check those cameras, Ricky tells Caden in a whisper. Enough to keep from prying ears, but enough for the three of us to hear. Yet, that's going to be a problem. Caden replies, worried about all the important evidence that was in those hard drives. I lifted my head, feeling overtaken by sleep. I was so tired, feeling the adrenaline finally leave me. Too tired to think, too tired to argue, too tired of everything. But at least we got the fire out, and besides a few burns on some members, no one was badly hurt. What are we going to do now? All evidence is destroyed, we have no way to prove to the council what we know. Caden says in a whisper. There is no need for that. You can have them. I will, as sure of it. Luna Morrison says, draped in a dark grey blanket. We turn with my eyes widen in shock. She had a little bag with black-colored SUV chips on them. This is all the evidence you need to put him behind bars. All of it. I am done covering for him. He's done nothing but lie to me and my son from the very start. I should have known he would never change. And I was at fault for letting it happen. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I have kept his dirty deeds a secret, Alpha, she says with pain in her eyes. She gives the evidence to Ricky, who looks at Caden in shock. Could it really be true? Did we really get him this time? Luna, but why? Don't question me. Just do the right thing. Make justice for all those innocent girls. I am tired of all this pack and rogue wars. The real monsters are dwelling inside our own packs. Those girls were innocent and did not fault what was done to them. Gunter, my husband. And all those bastards they call themselves alphas deserve to rot in jail, she says with anger in her voice. I only ask one thing. Please, keep Sky out of it. Don't let him know what is happening. He has had enough of having to deal with a useless mate. And all this, she says, gesturing to the pack members, and the territory behind us as it still remains in ashes and smoke. We promise, Luna, Ricky says, nodding his head slightly. Thank you, she says, finally breaking down as she lets a stray tear escape. I'm sorry, Livy. Your mom didn't deserve what we did to her. And neither did your dad. None of you. You were both so small and innocent. And I feel like a coward for not being able to stop him, she says, making my eyes widen in shock. What do you mean? I ask, but she walks away. You will see. The videos will give you all the answers, she says, and I am left puzzled. A black car pulled up, making us turn. Gunter is driving, and Alpha Noah gets out in a rush, looking around and demanding. What happened to my pack? Who did this? He says as he begins to grab onto one of the guards by their shirt. Ricky looks at me. Could it be? Did he have anything to do with the death of my mom? And why my dad suddenly disappeared? He told me Dad was dead. But is he? I fisted my hands, I was ready to launch at him. Rip his head off, Livy, Freya demands, making me growl. Livy, look at me, baby. I know you want to rip him apart. But right now is not the time. We need to play it cool. He has no idea his wife just gave him away. Our main priority right now is to bring him to justice. He will get what's coming to him. I promise, baby. I will make him pay. But you need to calm down. Okay, he says, making my nerves go on edge. How am I supposed to play it cool? From what she said, it was his fault my family is gone. My brother is dead, my mom is dead because of him. And Dad? I don't know anymore. I don't know what to think. It takes me a few seconds, but I can mask my anger. I sigh, breathing out heavily and very slowly as I cool down. Alpha Rick, what is the meaning of this? What happened to my pack? My pack, father. Not yours. And where were you? Where have you been? You should have been here to help. Thanks to them, and all these people our pack members were able to get out to safety, but as you can tell, everything else is gone. Skyla says, standing up to his dad. What do we do now? He asks, pretending everything is fine. But all I wanted was to rip his head off. Everyone will stay under my care, for now, Alpha Noah. Until you can rebuild and stand on your own again, I will give you asylum. Ricky says, and I can see a grin on his face, making the vial rise inside of me. Alpha, that is so kind of you. We are forever in your debt. Thank you. Gunter, don't take the luggage out, he says, making Gunter nod. He stood carelessly by the car with his hands crossed over his chest. Well, what do we have here? Our old little Omega. Olivia. How are you, darling? Looks like being a slave on your new pack has done you rather good, Alpha Rick says, making me grunt inwardly. I promise, you are safe, Livy. He won't lay a hand on you. I will make sure of it. I'll rip his head off myself if he tries. Ricky says, through the mind link. Livy, I bit my tongue trying not to talk back to the man. It was useless to try and reason with an imbecile so closed-minded to his own affairs and selfish beneficial priorities. You'd think Leah was his daughter and not Skyla. They were more alike. Both oozed greed, both were selfish to the core and entitled to an extent to play the perfect narcissist. So, I simply smiled, biting my tongue, swallowing my pride and words, and clearing my throat. It's good to see you well and safe, Alpha Morrison, I said politely, interlacing my fingers before turning on my heel and walking away quickly. He was ready to go after me, I could tell. He didn't like being ignored. I've known quite well to not walk away without his consent in the past. If it was still those days, he would have already grabbed me by the hair and beaten me in front of everyone without hesitation while I cowered away, falling into a fetal position to protect myself. But guess what? It was different now. I could care less if he had more to say. He will not keep stepping over me. I will stand my ground. And neither him, nor Leah, or this Rogue King, will make me feel inferior ever again. He took a step forward. I could hear the faint growl from Ricky's throat, ready to rip his head off, but Skyla stopped Alpha Noah. By the way, Dad, I could use your advice on a few things. Why don't we talk on our drive to Alpha Rick's pack, he says, making me grunt inwardly. Alpha Noah chuckles and turns back toward his car along Skyla's side. Sky. There is so much you still have to learn, son. Come on, I have a few ideas you should hear. Starting with a better dungeon, he says, making me feel disgustedly annoyed. Just as Ricky didn't reveal who I was, neither did Skyla. I think maybe Skyla had caught on to us. He knew we were up to something. I just hope he doesn't ruin it for us. We helped everyone settle into the vehicles before going on our way. Skyla had left with his father and Gunter, in their car. I really hoped he wasn't trying anything shady like the shenanigans Leah pulled on her first day in our pack. The last thing I need is for Alpha Noah to act like he can run our pack. I know Ricky will not allow it, but if he so well thinks he can, I will not be able to refrain from speaking out. I have a feeling I will not be able to keep this secret forever if that happens, because I will not stand by to watch him be impertinent or a half-witted cretin with my pack. I swear I will send him to our dungeons to give him a little taste of his own medicine. Luna Olivia, could I please leave in your vehicle? Luna Morrison asked, making me look at her quizzically. What was she going about? Is she really trying to help us? Or could this be a part of his plan? I will not be so naive anymore. Still, I couldn't be so hard on her either. She was a friend of Mom for a while anyway. Of course. Please, take a seat, I said, gesturing to our vehicle. She bowed, before going in and taking a seat at the far end of the car and didn't speak another word. She rested her head on the window, letting silent tears roll as she looked out toward the wreckage left by the fire. She wiped them away as fast as they were rolling down. I get her. I've fallen so in love with my pack, that if it ever happened to us, I'd also be in tears. This whole day was draining. I fell asleep halfway home, resting my head on Ricky's lap. I woke up with him caressing my cheek and combing my hair with his fingers lightly. We got out and I am ready to go to sleep. But my pack was waiting for us. They hugged us, smothering us with tears of joy to see us return. They had water, juices, coffee, and food for everyone. They gave out treats for the little kids, welcoming everyone as they unboarded the cars. The Silver Moon pack looked at our territory in awe, looking around like lost puppies. They have been looking at me the whole day with fear, not knowing if it was okay to approach me. I hate it. They were all rude to me before, and now that they see my changes and my new position in this pack, it was as if they feared me. It's not the feeling I want to lure. I want to be respected, not feared. This is the time I am thankful for mind links. Zane had long ago contacted the pack, and my girls got to work. They had been able to find accommodation for everyone temporarily for the night until we figured things out tomorrow morning. All that was left now was to get them to their temporary place. But not before they rested and had a bite to eat. Don't worry, I made sure they placed Alpha Noah and Gunter far away from us. My father has offered to have them stay in his wing in the extra rooms. Believe me, if they even try something shady, my father will put them in their place. He's an old wolf, but he's a menace if he has to. No one can pull the wool over that man. If Alpha Noah thinks he's tough, he's obviously never met my father. Ricky says as we finally walked toward the stairs to go to our room, making me chuckle. I'd like to see him try, I said, making Ricky chuckle. Come on, we can both need a nice shower to relax before bed, he says, making an involuntary moan escape me. Since a hot shower does sound good indeed. Yes. Sounds perfect. I can go for a nice long shower, I say, closing my eyes. But I grunt as we make it toward the second floor and I see Leah walking happily along Evelyn's side. They were going toward Leah's room and had loads of bags in their hands. Clearly, the two had gone out shopping while her pack was under fire, burning everything in its way. Her hair had been freshly made, and she had a brand new change of clothes. My blood boiled at this point and I was ready to go off on her, but Ricky gripped my hand tightly. Let it go. Tomorrow is a new day. We'll deal with her later. I'm sure her mate will give her an earful. Ricky says as a low growl escapes me. I could feel Freya, she was just as mad as I was with her impertinence. How can she be so carefree under these circumstances? Did she care so little for their pack? They are completely homeless. She is homeless. Does she not realize that? And to make matters worse, she is still spending, as if she has all the money in the world to do so. My goddess, I need to cool down. I need to leave before I ignore Ricky and rip Leah and Evelyn's head off. Livy, I woke up in the same position I have accustomed my body to love being in. My legs interlaced with Ricky's as I rested on his chest, and his arms tightly around me. Both nude and covered waist down with our sheets. His chest rode up and down slowly as the dark of night slowly faded away. Good morning, beautiful, he says as he feels me awake. Good morning, handsome, I said with a smile. But it threw me off that a soft knock was heard at the door. I looked at the clock, it was fairly a bit after 4 in the morning. Who could that be? I asked, looking at him. He closed his eyes, inhaling softly. It's Alpha Skyla. I'll go see what he wants. You stay and rest a bit longer, he says, getting up, giving me a great view of his bare glutes. His muscles flexed beautifully under him with the slightest movement, making me bite my bottom lip. Easy girl. I can smell you from over here, he says, turning slightly, making me chuckle. Yes, he had that effect on me. Just looking at him turned me on, and he's made it clear, just a glance from me could make him hard. He answered the door and stepped out for what seemed almost an hour. I got tired of laying down, so I got up, covered myself with the sheets, and made my way to the shower. It didn't take him long to join me. I didn't dare question him, but he soon told me. I was shocked by his revelation. Skyla had come by and given him full control over his pack. He wanted Ricky to train them, whether they wanted to or not. We did our morning routine, getting ready, and joining everyone in the dining room for breakfast. The Silver Moon Pack was not very fond of awakening so early as the Dark Moon Pack did, but I was thankful. We were able to eat in pieces for the most part. It was well after 6, and no sign of any Silver Moon Pack members, other than Skyla, his Beta, Gamma, and their mates. Evelyn waved at me, making me smile. But I couldn't help but notice she was scolded by Leah when she waved at me. It made Freya and I boil in anger. Just a few days after arriving in my pack, Leah already wanted to act as if she could call the shots here. She had it all wrong. I was not going to allow being pushed around, and I was not going to allow her to manipulate my pack members. The morning was confusing for our members today. But it was all for the best. Ricky needed to make sure that things went smoothly from this point on in our pack. So, he directed our pack members to start practicing without us, for we needed to give the Silver Moon Pack new directions and set the rules straight. He called everyone to the front of the practice grounds, where, of course, the Silver Moon Pack's highest rank members were already complaining that they were hungry. The only ones that were exempt from the morning meeting were the oldest babies and kids, since they obviously could hardly stay still. We had some of our girls take them to the nursery, where they would be looked after for the time being. Still, the ones who were old enough to shift were asked to attend. They would be required to get fit and learn proper training, qualifying them to protect the pack. I know what you think, they are still kids, but we needed to make sure they were well trained. Our pack could only grimace as we continue to hear them complaining. It's too early. It's getting too hot. I'm hungry. Why do we have to be up this early? Why do I have to be here? I'm still too little for this. Okay, I can let the little ones slide. But there were even older ones, older than me, complaining as they stood next to their mates. Do they not get how important this was? This training could ultimately save them, and help them protect their mates. I rolled my eyes as I hear them complain. None of them ever had any real responsibilities. They were all used to having the Omegas do everything in the pack. The only ones with real responsibilities were the doctors, Omegas, and top leaders. And even then, from what I hear, Leah has been making Omegas to take care of all of her Luna duties. She refuses to lift a finger, other than to get the credit card out and pay for her lavish lifestyle. All the members were used to being lazy and not caring about a thing in the world. But that was soon going to change. They have no idea what Ricky, Tate, and Zane have in store for them. They are in for a big treat, just like Leah had to wake up and smell the coffee when she tried to outrun me and beat me in the sparring challenge. Can we get everyone's attention, please? Cole and Vincent said as they tried to get the attention of their pack. Our pack had already gotten started on the training on the opposite side from where they were. I so wished I could be there with them right now. The pack continued to ignore them, talking amongst themselves. Everyone, please. Settle down. Vincent repeated, but they kept getting ignored. Ricky had had enough of their insolence. This was his territory, so with Skyla's approval, he was now going to take charge of Skyla's pack while they remained in our territory. Meaning they also had to obey me as the Luna. I wasn't sure how that would settle with Leah, but even she would have no choice but to give me power over her pack while she was in my pack. I mean, it's not like she does anything for them anyway. Quiet. Ricky says in his alpha tone, making everyone silent instantly. Some of them jump in place after being startled by his tone. Gamma Cole, and Beta Vincent, you are now dismissed. I will be taking it from here now," Ricky says, making them bow their heads in submission. Skyla's Gamma and his Beta were reluctant to give our pack the command at first, but Skyla had to make them submit to Ricky. But if you think about it, I don't think it was an easy thing for him to do. I never thought it was possible to see him give someone else authority over his pack to someone else. He was always so authoritative and manipulative over the pack when I was still there, but in the situation he was in, I don't think he had much choice. First rule: no talking when you are being given instructions. I don't give a rat how you were accustomed to behavior in the past. This is my pack, and you will follow directions, you will follow every rule and see through all of your obligations as I say. Is that understood? He says, in a demanding voice, making some flinch. Why yes, sir, a few say, making him irritated. If there was one big pet peeve he had, was insubordination and negligence. I said. Is that clear? He says, fisting his hands, and his jaw clenches, his eyes getting dark as black demanded their obedience along with him. Yes, sir, they respond in unison. Everyone was silently listening now, including Skyla and Leah, even the former Luna Morrison. Leah was fuming. She did not like the fact that Skyla had given Ricky full control of his pack while they were staying in our pack. She was in for a rude awakening if she thought she would still treat them the way she was used to. Even if they were part of her pack, and were still their Luna. I will not stand for disruptive behavior, or allow anyone to be mistreated. 2. At the start of the day, you will be allowed to eat breakfast at your own pace. But training starts at 6 in the morning. It is up to you if you want to eat before, or after, but you are obligated to be on time for practice. Failure to do so will have severe consequences. I demand respect from everyone, no matter what rank you are, in my pack. Everyone gets treated with respect. Understood? Yes, sir. 3. Everyone, including Omegas, are to attend training every day, he says, making them look at each other. The Omegas were somewhat left with mixed emotions. They had never been allowed to attend a single training unless it was to be used as a punching bag. They were both scared and excited to finally have a chance to learn to defend themselves. I will not tolerate any fooling around or childish behavior. You are all to make good use of your time. Teens and kids will be admitted into our schools to attend classes as normal, effective immediately. That includes the Omegas, he says, making Leah's eyes widen in shock. She looked down on all Omegas, not knowing some of them were the smartest kids I had ever known. This means, you are to adjust a schedule for yourself to be on time for breakfast, training, and be on time for school. If you have no transportation, we will provide transportation for you. We have numerous elementary and middle schools and 2 high schools in total. Depending on where you are placed, will depend on what school you will be placed in, he says, looking around the pack, making sure everyone was paying attention. Those of age will also have the obligation to either get a job within our premises or join our guarding team full-time. In my pack, we are all equal. I don't care how you were used to going about your business, you will do as I say, he continued, giving them all kinds of rules. Didn't you see what was happening? There were a few times they were ready to complain, but Ricky kept an eye on them, giving them a warning look, growling in his dominant alpha tone, making them submit again and again. Last and most important thing, he says, looking at me with a smile. He stretches his hand out for me, and I join him in his spot. They begin murmuring, whispering amongst themselves, and giving me mixed glances. This is my Luna. My boss, my Jaffa, the big cheese, my authority. Any question regarding the pack house, or whatever circumstances that is not life-threatening, you go to her. If any of you so as even think of talking bad about her, giving her a hard time, or doing anything to harm her, her work, or her team, I will personally see to it that you are dealt with in the most severely way. I don't care who it is, he says, as his hand tightens around my waist. They looked at me in fear. Never in my life did I ever think they would see me in other eyes, other than with disgust and hatred they so accustomed themselves to do so, thanks to Leah and Alpha Noah. Again. Livy is the shot caller in this ball game. She is the one in charge here. If you don't like it, you can leave. And that goes for all of you. I will not tolerate any misbehavior. This is my pack. And you will obey, or you can leave. You have been warned, he says, making them look amongst themselves. After a few more words, warning them about their behavior, he finally got down. They were all led to the dining room to eat, where they were served, and then lead to the training fields. By the time we got there, our members were done, but they were happy to go another round. Luna. Over here, my usual training team calls to me happily. I kiss Ricky, and I join them with a smile. I had a kick out of seeing Leah and Evelyn complain the whole time about how extensive the training was. But it wasn't as bad as the rest of the pack. But it did surprise me that the Omegas tried so hard. I saw a few members trying to give them a hard time, so I then decided it was best by making one of my girls train along with each of the Omegas. The boy Omegas were placed with a top warrior to who they would personally make use. They were trained properly. By the end of the day, I realized that the Omegas were very weak, and I wasn't just talking about their fitness shape, but their health. I talked to the pack doctors, who placed them all under a special meal plan to get them bulked up fast, along with nutritional supplements. By the time it came to the end of the training for the rest, I took all the Omegas with me and placed them in the best rooms possible. Then I posted the list for the rest of the members, placing them in the houses away from the pack house, including Skyla and Leah. My members were kind enough to help them settle in, and they went to the extent to give them clothes they were no longer using. They had lost everything. A temporary home, with our help, seemed a like breath of fresh air. Desiree, of course, begged Cole to give her permission to join my helping crew. She was welcomed with open arms, but I couldn't over okay the nasty glances that Evelyn and Leah gave her. I definitely had to keep my eye on them. Thankfully, for Desiree, I gave her and Cole a nice room on the same floor as mine. Her room is enormous, and so pretty with the same jungle feeling. She was awestruck when she saw it. Out of respect for Skyla, because, after all, he's still an alpha. I was going to give him a room just the same, but he was the one that insisted. With Ricky I didn't. So instead, I gave them a house by the lake, where they would have more privacy, but it also meant it was a bit far from us, giving her no choice but to go out and buy her own food and prep her own meals. Because my girls have the direct order not to cook or clean inside her house. If she wants to eat in our dining room, she can, but she has to come and order here. The one thing that irritated me the most was that Alpha Noah had refused to come out of his room. He had been seen lounging around his room and out on the patio on his own, sending his Luna to get him food whenever he was hungry. I have a feeling he's going to be in trouble. But I am not putting up with him anymore. If he thinks he can deal with me, then bring it on, buddy. Alaric, I don't think this was a coincidence. This is far too suspicious. That bastard has all the luck on his side. Caden says over the phone, making me grunt inwardly. I sat at my desk, trying to relieve this throbbing headache. My mind kept circling the situation. What started that fire? Who would benefit the most from making Skyla and the Silver Moon Pack lose everything? I had to get to the bottom of this. I had gotten up a bit excited this morning, hoping it was a good morning, but I have a feeling it's going to go downhill quickly. Apparently, Skyla and his mate had argued the whole night, making other guests close to their room stay awake. From what I gather, this is a constant thing between them. I mean, who can live like this? Constantly fighting, bickering, and yelling at each other. That's not what having your true mate by your side should be like. But I guess he had it coming to him. Poor guy, he's suffering the consequences of rejecting our moon goddess's choice for his mate, and for what? He chose someone his carnal instincts thought was better. That woman has done nothing but cause him burdens. She's a disgrace as a Luna. Hiding in her friend's room just to avoid helping her own people and save her pack. Cowardly conduct. I sat, fiddling with the USB drive Skyla's mom had given me. What if this was a trap? What if this so-called evidence were fake? Caden says as he drives toward my pack, still on the phone. Yeah, well. What if they're not? What if they're legit? I say, pinching the curve of my nose. I was still irritated over this morning's insolence. That pack is going to be a lot of work. And I wasn't just talking about rebuilding their territory, but the members overall need a lot of inner work. I had Zion on his way. He would review them and tell me if they were legit. I need to make sure no one has tampered with the evidence. Soon as I heard the door knock this morning, I became dubious. I am not sure what is on these videos, but I have a feeling it is filled with dirty secrets Alpha Noah has been trying to hide. Alpha, I apologize, sir, I know you wanted this to be a private matter, but, Alpha Skyla knows what we are up to. He wants to take part in it, my guard Dante says through MindLink as he stood outside my office door. I thought for a second, but the fact is, this is his father who we are dealing with. He has all the right to have a part in this matter. It's fine. Let him in. I mind-linked Dante, alerting my father and Caden of the situation. They had no choice but to accept his presence. He was adamant to join us. Whatever it is, I want in. I'm tired of my father manipulating my pack and hurting my members without consent. I'm aware of what has been going on. I want to help, he says, leaning forward on my desk. How did you? I talked to my mother. She told me yesterday that when she overheard you speaking. Who do you think gave her those USBs to guard them with her life? I knew the best place to hide them was right under my father's nose. Where he least expected them to be, he says, but I wasn't fully letting my guard down. I needed to keep an open mind about all this. For now, I will give him the benefit of the doubt. It wasn't long before Caden and my father joined the private meeting. I clenched my jaw, looking at my father, who by his better judgment, which I fully trust, nods in agreement to continue the meeting. Very well. Take a seat, Alpha. But I warn you. If you cross me, or my pack, I will personally make sure you don't see your pack rise ever again. I say in a demanding voice. After all, my pack and my mate came first before anyone else. I have already agreed to give you full control of my pack. Believe me, the last I want is to cross you, Alpha. I'm aware of the unscrupulous affairs my father thought he was hiding well from under everyone's nose. As I said, it was me who told my mother to hide those USBs filled with the videos for evidence. I knew my father planned on getting rid of them. He had made remarks in the past that he wanted all USBs returned to him from the time he was in office. He was outraged when I refused to give them to him. I told him I had them in the safe inside my office and I was not going to let him have them because they were the pack's property. I never thought he'd set fire to everything to try and get his way, he says, sitting across from me. Yeah, but, arson? Dad asks, sipping on his whiskey and nodding in disbelief. Hombre lleno de malicia. Man filled with malice, he says, making me agree. Very well. If we are ready, I will start the first video series. Zion says, holding the USB by the slot of the computer. This is the first drive for this year. But some of these are dated as far back as 10 years or so, from what I see here. Which will you want to see first? Zion asks, looking between us. We chose a recent date to play, but it was far too much. The more I watched, the more sickening I felt. The way they treated these girls. The way they beat the rogues, so young as 12, maybe younger boys. Beaten and mistreated, but the young women were the ones who had it the worst. He was practically running his own whorehouse right under everyone's nose. Lo destrozaré, paella por paella. Horrendo. I will rip him apart, piece by piece. Horrendous. My father was getting angry. His wolf, Xavier, was threatening to merge. Enough. I think we've seen enough for today, my father says, gesturing for Zion to stop the video. We had set it at a very low volume to not attract anyone, but the way those rogues cried, the shrill voices of those helpless girls as they pleaded. To think Livy had to see this in person. It made my blood boil. I had to fight Black to contain himself. That bastard. How I wish to rip him and all those frivolous alphas apart. Limb by limb, my father says, making me agree. I closed my eyes, breathing heavily to calm Black and myself. All members of my pack needed to be protected from this man. I am setting a severe warning. Watch over Alpha Noah, and guard our women. He is not to be trusted. I would make sure he gets taken care of. If the council does not give him a fair punishment, and the other alphas we saw, then I would personally make sure they do. Livy, while Ricky was in his office all afternoon, I made good use of finalizing my last exam for my Luna duties. I officially am certified as the Dark Moon Pack's Luna. If I may say, I feel mighty proud of myself. So, to celebrate, I will be taking my butt down to the kitchen to make Ricky and me a few of his favorite triple chocolate jumbo cupcakes. He loves it when I make them, he will eat them all if I don't stop him. I decided on dressing a bit more properly since I like doing my work in the bedroom while wearing pajamas. So, I got dressed in fitted jeans, a loose white oversized V-neck t-shirt, and slip-on sneakers. I made my hair up in a tight bun and made my way to the kitchen. It was still not time for dinner, so I had time to do my thing before the girls started preparing. But as I made my way out there, I heard yelling coming from the kitchen. There were a few people in the dining room eating quietly and wondering what was going on in the kitchen, but it seemed no one dared to enter. It sounded like a man's voice yelling, and the closer I got, the more I realized who it was. Alpha Noah. I gritted my teeth, growling in anger as Freya threatened to merge. I got this, Freya. I am done dealing with him. Ricky is right, I am tough. And it's time she knows it. I say, making her wag her tail. She was happy about my sudden change in attitude. That's what happens when you have a great man by your side. Are you all that incompetent? How hard is it to understand? I should not have to repeat myself, but here I am repeating for the 4th time, no onions in my burger. No regular salt on my fries, and no ice in my drink, he yells at 2 of my youngest Omegas who were helping in the kitchen today. He was in their face, throwing the food at them, making my blood run hot. He was ready to throw the drink at them, and my poor girls, they were still so young, he tore over them. They looked on the verge of crying, and I was not going to stand by and let it happen. I fisted my hands and stormed inside, just as he rose the glass, ready to throw it at them. Omegas are supposed to stay quiet. Omegas are supposed to obey. Omegas are supposed to do everything I say. Alpha Morrison said in anger as he spat at me. I lived each day in fear for my life, wondering what I did wrong to deserve such fate. Was their hatred toward me so strong, they'd happily give me away to a ruthless alpha? Leaving me to fend for myself? But guess what, Morrison? That ruthless alpha is my man, my mate, and my husband. Thanks to him, I grew a backbone, and I learned to defend myself. I learned I was strong, unstoppable. And I am stupid if I don't teach these girls that they can do the same. He swings it, but I catch the glass, hitting it, and making it ricochet, as it swings back to him, hitting him on the face, and wetting him. He's stunned, looking at me with wide eyes as he feels the strike on his face, and the soda wets his face and shirt. Don't you dare touch my girls! We are not in your pack anymore, Alpha. I say it sarcastically, spitting venom his way. He looks dumbfounded for a second as he gathers himself. What the? Look here, Omega. No, you look here, you stupid imbecile. I am in charge here, and you have no right to tell or mistreat my girls. We opened our doors to your homeless ass, and you dare try to mistreat my girls? Just who do you think you are? My voice was loud, I know. I had never caused a commotion, but I was heated. How dare he? He began chuckling, nodding his head. I motioned to the girls, telling them to get out. But, out! I said, making them look down and leave quickly. If I were you, I watch what you do, Morrison. I will not stand for your insolence in my pack. I say menacingly, making him look at me puzzled. But it seemed he didn't believe me. You forget who I am, girl? I will beat you to a pulp like I used to. You dare provoke me? Your pack? You're nothing but a joke. A dumb Omega who thinks you're somebody now because you were given the head cook here, or what? I chuckled, feeling Ricky's presence. He was listening to everything and was aware of what was happening. He was warned by a guard who heard the commotion at the same time I was entering the dining room. You are trash, girl. I should have ended you the same night your daddy killed himself, he says and lost it. I growled, punching him right in the jaw. He stepped back, startled by what I just did. He growls back and is ready to launch himself at me when Ricky steps in front of him. If I were you, I'd contemplate on my next action, Alpha Morrison, Ricky says, standing in front of me. Alpha Alaric. I apologize for this inconvenience, but this Omega struck me on my jaw. I was simply trying to teach her to respect her superiors. This Omega you speak of is my mate, Alpha Morrison. You dare lay a hand on her, and I can assure you I will rip that arm off your body. You are not dealing with a worthless Omega. As you said, you are dealing with my Luna and my mate. Don't you dare even think of touching her. Understood, he says, fisting his hands. Ricky is fuming, I feel his aura intensify, his veins engorged and ready to murder the man. Why your Luna? I didn't know, Alpha Alaric. I apologize. Save it. I don't need your pretentious explanations. Let me make something clear to you, Alpha Morrison. This is my pack. My pack. My rules. If you don't like it, leave, now. But if you decide to stay, you will follow every rule, just like the rest. Starting from staying away from my wife. And staying your dirty hands away from my pack members, because I promise you, Alpha. If you dare touch any of my girls or my wife, or any girl for that matter, it will be the last thing you ever do. Because I will make sure I send you straight to you, and that good-for-nothing beta of yours. You've been warned, Alpha, he says, grabbing my hand and walking away with me right on his foot. Alpha Morrison is left feeling dumbfounded. A look of shock still in his eyes as I look back and see his mouth gawked open. I smile, feeling a little victory inside. Though I wish I had been able to handle it on my own, knowing Ricky and Black, they couldn't help wanting to protect me. You did great back there, love, but, please, stay away from the prick. I don't want anything bad to happen to you. Ricky says as he sits on the edge of the bed, pulling me on top of him and making me straddle him. His hands stroke my hair delicately to my back, making me close my eyes. He's always so gentle with me. The slightest touch sends sparks through my body, making me want him. Ricky, you didn't have to intervene. I had it under control. But thank you. Baby, I know you did. But I hate the man with passion. I couldn't stand seeing the way he looked at you. I was ready to rip him apart. If so even thinks of touching a hair on your head, I swear I will rip him apart, he says, gritting his teeth, and his eyes darkening. I can tell Black is equally mad. I chuckle, yeah, well, he better stay away from my girls too. I can't stand it when they mistreat any of my girls. I say, narrowing my eyebrows. Just thinking about it made me angry again. Ricky chuckles, that's my girl. I love it when you get all feisty, he says, making me chuckle. Alpha Noah had better gotten the hint. Because if not, he will not like what Ricky can do to him, or my father-in-law. I can't help but kiss Ricky passionately, making his bulge increase under me. Before I know it, we are entangled, and fighting for dominance in bed. He's wild and always makes me want more of him. But the time for dinner is close, and everyone will need to be there on time. While I get ready, Ricky goes off in search of Alpha Noah, to establish our rules. When I make it to the kitchen, the girls are already working overtime, smiling and hugging me as a thank you for standing up to our two youngest girls. It takes us little time to get things done, and I even had time to make Ricky's triple chocolate cupcakes. He peeks in as I am taking the cupcakes out. He's got a big smile on his face, making me smile. Hey, beautiful. We're ready to serve? Can I help with anything? He asks, making me chuckle. Out. I know your tactics, you little sweet tooth. You want to dig into the cupcakes first. Not until after dinner. I say, making him pout. You too, Luna. Go and have a seat. We'll bring dinner out for everyone. Please, go and have a seat, the lead cook says, making me smile. Are you sure? Yes, please, go and enjoy your evening. We got it from here, she says, making Ricky and I leave the kitchen. We sit at our usual table, accompanied by Margot and Zane. Tate sits with us, and then I smile, waving at Desire to come sit with us. Cole looks at Skyla, who nods in agreement. They smile and come to join us, but I can't help but snicker as I see Evelyn and Leah fuming in anger. They have been pissed off that they were left far away from my pack house and now have to clean their own rooms. They still refuse to cook a single meal, coming to eat here. They can hang out in the library and such, but they can't sleep here anymore. And for their sake, they better stay away, just like Noah needs to stay away. Third-person POV as Livy goes on with her day, Leah sees no other way to go around it than to submit to the pack's rules. I mean, why wouldn't she anyway, right? All the best, since she has the freedom to walk around, responsibility-free. She, of course, was still adamant about doing her own thing behind walls. No one is going to tell her how to treat her pack members, even if she wasn't fully in charge anymore. Especially not another Luna, I mean, who does Olivia think she is, right? No one has ever given her restrictions. She has done as she pleases, and she'd be if someone started to do so now. Olivia is only the most amazing, big-hearted girl her mama taught her to be. But Leah wouldn't know that. She was raised with a golden spoon in her mouth. Always treated like royalty, and gave everything she ever asked for. And she is sure the pampering had to continue, or she would raise. Olivia, on the other hand, had everything taken away from her. Livy had to learn the hard way that not everyone gets treated fairly, and for that, she learned to have a soft spot for those less fortunate. She has become the low-ranked's biggest advocate, and she will not back down when she sees one of them being mistreated or taken advantage of. While Livy thrives and longs to help her pack in any way, shape, or form, Leah boasts of complaining about her new life. She's not used to being homeless, or Skyla telling her she can't keep shopping limitless amounts of their money. If Skyla thought she was going to return everything she just bought, well, he thought wrong. On the day of the fire incident, she thought it wise to hide in Evelyn's room to avoid the obligation of helping them. She didn't care that her parents were still in that pack. She had long forgotten about them, to the point they were not even allowed to talk to her in public. Perhaps, because they were Omegas as well. And the only reason she had become a warrior, as she calls herself, was because Skyla had a thing for her. She was a beautiful girl after all. She knew how to sweet-talk him into doing anything she wanted. Any desire she had, he obliged. In high school, he didn't care that he was wasting the pack's money to treat her like a queen, but in fact, the money he was really spending was the dirty money Daddy Noah was making in his illegal whorehouse. Did Skyla know she was sleeping around, and making other boys buy her everything her sweetheart desired? You bet, but he was far too whipped on her to realize who she really was. As time has gone by, Skyla's eyes have opened only to disappointment. He realized where the money came from, and will do anything in his power to help Alaric and Caden to trap Daddy Noah. Even if he needed to dig deeper. He knew there had to be at least one survivor from all the girls Gunter and his dad molested. And as for Leah, the love was slowly fading away. The lack of intimacy, and the disappointment of always having to do things on his own. She didn't care that she wasn't by his side when he most needed her. But did Leah care that the love was fading? No. Of course she didn't. She was too occupied whining to him to let her keep all the things she had bought when she went shopping the day they left to turn the fires off. Though, even if he was adamant about her returning, she knew she wouldn't. She just liked getting on his last nerves. Why are you doing this to me? Why can't I just keep them? It's not fair, Sky, she says, pouting and stomping her feet like a spoiled brat. Leah, please. Look at all the clothes you brought. You had at least 3 luggage when we arrived, you don't need all this new stuff. We need to make changes, Leah. We can't afford all this right now. I need to administer the money and pay to have our territory restored. Alpha Alaric said he'd go with me to talk to the council. They may be able to help. Why do you need the council? Rick is loaded with cash, why can't he just give us enough to rebuild? She asks, making Skyla grunt frustratingly. Are you listening to yourself? I am. He should help. I mean, do you see all the clothes that Mutt wears? She's practically swimming in Miu Miu, Manolo, and couture. It's not fair, Sky, she says, making Skyla angry. 1. He is Alpha Alaric to you, understood, he says in his alpha tone, making her look at him with a pout. Understood? Don't forget you are still my mate, Leah, and I will not stand for your stupid flirting anymore. Got it? He yells, making her flinch. Okay. Got it, she says, crossing her hands. She was startled and scared. He had never talked to her in his alpha tone. But it wasn't like it mattered. She was going to do as she pleased, whether he liked it or not. 2. He says, looking at her sternly. I want you and your dumb little friend to return everything, at once. Am I making myself clear? He says, pointing at her, in a threatening voice. Leah. Okay. I will, okay. Geez. Are you happy now? Ugh, I can't believe you're being such a cheapskate with me. You've never cared about my spending before, but ever since you became alpha all you do is give me restrictions, she says, making Skyla close his eyes, running his hands through his hair, frustratingly. Yeah, well, things have changed, Leah. We both have obligations to tend to. And at least one of us is looking after our obligations, because from what I notice you can care less about doing your Luna duties, he says, looking at her with a tightened jaw. She gasps, acting as if she was mad. Skyla, that is not fair. Not fair? Not fair is you making all the Omegas do your job. I mean, look at Livy. Do you see how well the Omegas in her pack respect her? Everyone in her pack adores her, Leah. And why? Because she takes care of them. She takes her Luna duties very seriously, he says, making Leah angry. She can stand all of his restrictions, and back-talking, but being compared to the mutt? No. Don't you dare compare me to that stupid what? That mutt? Thanks to that mutt, you have a roof over your head, Leah. Do you think all this is because Alpha Alaric has a good heart? Alpha Rick has been helping us because Livy asked him to. Not because he wanted. If it was up to him, he would have left us to our fate from the start, he says, making her eyes widen. Look. I know this is hard, Leah. It's hard for everyone. Please, just bear with me for a while. This is just a minor setback. I promise you, we will get through this. I only ask you to stop hiding when I need you. Stop running when one of the pack members needs you. That's why we were given the privilege to be their leaders. All I ask is that you stay by my side and show them you are the Luna this pack needs. Please, babe, his voice lowered, and he pleaded with her. He still had a glint of hope that things between them could be fixed. But her mind was already made up. If he was not going to give her the luxury she thought she deserved, then she no longer needed to pretend to care and be by his side. For now, until she thought of a new plan, she would stick around. Fine. Now let go. You'll mess up my clothes, and I just did my hair, she says, making him grunt. He was puzzled. Surely, their mating bond had to be somewhat still strong, he had marked her after all. But the days have come and gone, and yet, he didn't feel their connection getting any stronger. She was more distant than before, and she avoided his touch. His intimacy no longer made her crazed. He sighs, kissing her temple and leaving the room without another word. He decided to take a walk and went towards the pack house. To his surprise, Alpha Lucian sat with a book under a blanket near a bonfire. Lucian sensed him, gesturing him to come over and sit next to him as he smiled politely. Lucian gestures to a young girl, who smiles and nods. He had asked him for refreshments through their mind link. They sat quietly, and before long the young girl came by and brought them a hot drink to relax. Skyla couldn't help but spill all of his concerns to Alpha Lucian. He needed to vent all of his anger and frustration, talking away as Lucian sat quietly, lending an ear. By the end of the night, Lucian gives him great advice to better their relationship, but he dreads what cannot be unseen. I know you care about her, but sometimes you have to realize if it's not working out. maybe the best thing to do is let her go. Remember, she is not your true mate. The bond is not strong or genuine because she is not who you were destined to be with. Think about it now, are you in love with her because of the mating bond, after you chose her to be your mate? Are you in love with her because she was who you dated as a youngster? Or is it that you just got used to her, and you're scared of letting her go, he says, making Skyla's wheels of thought turn in his head. If he thought he was confused before, he was worse now. Sometimes our ego gets in the way, making us hold on to the one thing holding us back from our true potential, because we are scared to let go. Maybe, one day you will find a second chance mate. Or maybe, just maybe, you were meant to run your pack alone like I did. Whatever the outcome, you need to come to terms with yourself. Listen to your wolf. Listen to your instincts. No one knows you better than you know yourself. But you can't listen to you unless you quiet your mind and stand still, he says, making Skyla look down. His hands rested on his knees as he hung his head. His head spun, making him feel overwhelmed. He had to do something, anything. Lucian was right, maybe letting go of Leah was the right thing to do. But he just wasn't ready to. Not yet, at least. Third-person POV as Skyla makes his way to the library to read a bit, Ollie's Rick makes his way down the stairs with a smile on his face. He had just offered Livy a stroll down the neighboring city to show her around. He knows she's not comfortable around humans, so the fact that she agreed made him excited for the next day. Alpha Skyla, doing a little reading? He asks, making Skyla stop in his tracks. I am. How are you this evening? He asks, still feeling a bit bewildered about the conversation he just had with Alpha Lucian. Great. Great, and yourself? How is the house my wife picked for you and your mate? Getting acquainted, I presume, he asks, making Skyla grunt inwardly, remembering the argument he had with Leah before he decided it was best to step away. We are. Thanks again for your hospitality and for opening your doors to my pack in these dire consequences. Don't mention it. I have no doubt you would do the same for others. Ricky adds, smiling at Skyla. Yeah, of course, Skyla replies, as the feeling of lost hope envelopes him inside his heart. Anyway, I should go. I have a few more things to tend to before dinner. I look forward to you and your pack joining us. Ricky says, making Skyla nod with his lips pursed, politely. Ricky begins to walk away, making Skyla turn to walk inside the library. Oh, by the way, Alpha Skyla, Ricky says, making Skyla turn back to him. Yes, see. Livy and I were planning on a quiet afternoon tomorrow in our neighboring city. I know these days haven't been very easy. How about you and your mate join us? We got an exclusive invitation to a new art gallery. We're also planning on going to a nice restaurant a friend of mine just opened. I think it would be a nice distraction for you and your wife and ease all the tension in the air. What do you say? Skyla had just asked Leah to return everything she and Evelyn had bought, making his personal card reach near its max. How would he look if he said no to this invitation to the man who was practically saving him and his pack? But he worried if he said yes, Leah would not hesitate to ask him to buy her all kinds of useless things. I Don't worry about any expenses, it's all on me this time. Alpha Alaric, I appreciate the offer, but I just couldn't. Of course, you can. Please, it will be an honor to have you guys. He thinks about the pros and cons. He could really use some distraction, and maybe this could help make up with Leah, even if he had to go back on his word and let her keep a few things to wear tomorrow. You're right. Leah and I could really use a distraction from all this. We'd love to join you and your mate tomorrow. Great. We'll meet tomorrow after morning practice in front of the pack house. Have a good evening, Alpha. Ricky says, waving at him and leaving him. As Skyla made his way into the library, he was fascinated by how big of an inventory they had. Old collection dating hundreds of years, yet, the books were in such a great state. He read for hours, losing track of time, until his phone vibrated with a call from his beta, Vincent, wondering where he was since it was nearly halfway through dinner time. He made his way, and ate his food silently, making everyone at his table feel awkward, and then got up without a word and left. Leah was feeling a bit guilty. She knew maybe, just maybe, she had acted erroneously. She went back to her room, ready to call defeat, and asked Evelyn to give her back all the things she had bought with Skyla's money. Evelyn was mad, but she did as Leah told her. She knew better than to make her angry. As she began to pack things back and went through all the receipts to get ready and return them tomorrow, Skyla came in. "What are you doing?" he asked, looking at her with remorse in his voice. "What does it look like?" "I'm getting things ready to take them back," she says, annoyed, making him sigh. "Leah. Maybe I acted out of character. I'm sorry. I was rude to you, and I shouldn't have raised my voice at you. Maybe, you don't have to return these things, at least not everything," he says, making her eyes widen in shock. "Really?" she says, losing her pout and smiling at him. "Really? Look, Alpha Rick and Olivia are going out for the day tomorrow. They asked us to join them. I figured you'd want to use some of the stuff you bought," he says, making her squeal with joy. "Oh my goddess, for real? That sounds like so much fun. Oh, I have the perfect outfits for tomorrow. Do you know where we're going?" she asks, excitedly. Skyla gives her the details, and the more he explains, the more excited she gets, digging through her stuff and getting one outfit out after another, unable to think of what to wear. It had to be perfect. She had never been to an art gallery. All she knew was that people usually go dressed fancy, which meant she had to prepare the perfect get-up for herself and Skyla. The rest of the night, Leah daydreams of the possible outcomes that tomorrow will bring. She smiles gullible through dinner time and doesn't waste time digging for the right outfits. When morning comes, she is up and ready before Skyla is even out of the shower. Bags in hand, makeup intact, and every outfit well thought of has been properly and carefully done. Of course, Evelyn wastes no time pouting and spitting green as jealousy seethes through her, seeing as she walks out with a bright smile toward the fancy sports car, placing her carry bag and Skyla in the trunk. Was Livy okay with it? No, obviously she would have preferred Molly or Margot's company, even the company of one of the Omegas and their mate, but hey, how could she be a bad sport and tell her hubby Ricky that they were not allowed to tag along, right? "Hey, good morning guys. Ready to go? Ricky asks with a smile, holding Livy by the waist. Ready as we'll ever be. Where are we going first? Leah responds, cutting off Skyla before he dove the first word in. Well, Livy and you will be going to a store alone if you don't mind. I have a meeting to tend to, and I would like for Skyla to attend, but don't worry, Livy's guards will be with you guys at all times. Ricky replies, gesturing to Skyla. Okay. Sounds great. I love shopping, I just bought the cutest outfit. Ricky, it's late. We should get on the road, don't you think? Livy cuts in, making Leah bite the inside of her tongue angrily. Of course, baby. After you, he says, smiling at Livy and gesturing for them to get in the car. They board the car and take off. The ride is left in awkward silence, with nothing but soft piano music playing at a low volume. Leah is already bored, and ready to fall asleep after the first 20 minutes. She had never taken a liking to classic music. It always made her fall asleep fast. Can we change the music, if you don't mind? She asks, making Skyla give her a warning look, as he gets embarrassed by her request. Not fond of Chopin, I presume, Ricky remarks, making Livy chuckle lightly. Who? Leah responds, making Skyla grunt, closing his eyes and dragging his hand across his face, feeling ashamed. Frédéric Chopin, darling. One of the most famous and influential piano composers and players in history. Why, his work is so original, filled with grace and so distinct that not many can ever compare to his work. He was Poland's most famous composer of his time. Okay, I get it. He was famous. Leah cuts her off, folding her hands over her chest and scuffing as she looks out the window. How much longer until we get there? She asks, making Skyla give her another warning look, making her irritated. Just a few more minutes, Ricky replies, grabbing Livy's hand, kissing her knuckles, and interlacing their fingers as Livy smiles. Ricky makes his way toward their destination, unaware they have a tiny bug drone following them. The king got word that Skyla and Ricky were out together with their Lunas. What better opportunity than to get them both where it mostly hurts, to force them to give up Noah. They stop at a fancy hotel, where Ricky registers for the night, and they make their way to each of their rooms, but the king's impatience are getting the best of him. He takes a risk, dressing like a bellboy and disguising his scent from everyone. He can only hope that Ricky doesn't see his face, because if either one of them recognizes him, it will be over. Mayhem will unleash, and the last he wants is for dumb naive humans to realize there are supernatural creatures in the hotel. He knocks on the door and waits for them to open. He hears giggles from a young girl and clenches his jaw. He can only imagine that she must be as gullible and entitled as all the other Lunas he has met. "Bellboy, your luggage is here," he says, knocking on the door again. His hands become clammy, he's never been this nervous, and he doesn't understand why. All he knows is that he wants revenge. Nothing will stop him, even if he has to take strenuous consequences. "I'll get it. You finish your phone call," the young girl says. He can hear her footsteps. This is too easy, he thinks, smirking as he looks over his shoulders, hoping no one sees what he is about to do. He has to think fast. Act fast, before anyone can get to him. With every step getting closer, his heart begins to pulse faster and faster. The door finally opens, and his hands fist, ready to act. But he can't. It's as if life has stood still. He looks up and sees a pair of brown eyes looking back at him with a smile on her face, making him go into a trance. His mouth gawks open, and he can't help but look at her neck. It's a mix. A big scar taints her delicate skin that evidently goes under her collarbone, and up to her jaw. But it's also adorned with a mark. The mark of her mate. He's unable to move, unable to talk. That girl, it has to be her, and no matter how many words she says, he can't hear, he's speechless. Hello, he finally hears, making him come out of his thoughts. Are you okay? She asks, holding her hand out for him. He turns on his heel quickly and takes off, leaving her feeling dumbfounded. All this time she has been mated to him. The guy I was willing to end his life if he got in my way. But how? We have been under the same moon all this time, and I never had a clue where she was, he says, running quickly and hoping to stay unseen. Third-person POV. Now the question still stands. Who was that mystery woman our beloved king saw back there in that hotel? Was it Livy? Was it Leah? Could it be that after nearly 7 years of turning 18, he had finally met his mate? Perhaps a long-lost sister, or just a girl he so well admired by her courage, he longed to see again. Whoever it was, all he could do was run away to safety. Those eyes looked ever so innocently back at him every time he closed his eyes. Her sweet smile gave out vibes of innocence, pure innocence in her heart for sure. But the scar on her neck, he knows it was inevitable. He was just too young to protect her back then, but he remembered vividly, just as if it had happened yesterday, the way he cried out for her to run that day. If he was only as powerful as he is today. Perhaps his mom would still be alive. He wouldn't have undergone the agony of seeing his poor innocent little sister be slashed across her neck by that menacing rogue. It took all of his power to stay awake that day and tell her to run. He swore no words came out no matter how hard he cried for her, but still, he had to warn her. Run! Run, Liv! It had been years since our handsome king shed a single tear. But, as much as he fought it, the tears began to flow. The knot in his throat only added to his excitement. Why did I run back there? I should have told her. I should have hugged her. Goddess, he thinks to himself as he stops running. He bent down and places his hands over his knees as he cried ever so sorrowful. It hurt his insides. The agony. The heartache. The pain. The excitement. She is so beautiful, Mom. She's so beautiful, he says, looking up at the night sky, dressed in stars. She looks just like you, he adds, dropping to his knees and crying. No. I need to go back. I have to. She needs to know the truth. But what if she also thinks I'm dead? What will she say? What will she think when she knows? She didn't even recognize me back there, did she? He says as the happy tears suddenly began to fill with sorrow. She is so close. Alive and well. Yet he had never felt farther away from her. Livy was alive. All this time, she was alive. Noah lied, again. He said she was dead, she had killed herself after she thought her entire family had vanished and that she was too much of a coward to live. Why didn't he ever see her though? Was Noah keeping her away purposely from them, so that the times he was able to penetrate their walls and attack them, he failed to see her? Maybe the girl, that the young woman he had rescued from Noah's dungeon. They had talked about a young girl that was always tortured but was untouchable to the rest of the men that went in there. He needs to know. My mentor needs to know. He'll know what to do, he says, talking to himself and mind-linking his mentor. Wes, we have a situation. I found her. I found my sister. Call off the attack for tonight. Call the attack off. My sister is Alaric's mate, we can't hurt her, he says, turning around, his ego getting a boost of faith he so badly needed. What? Are you sure? Wesley Slate replies, making him chuckle through his tears. But life is not always fair. Is it? He feels a blow to the head, making him fall to the ground with a loud grunt. All he can do is shut his eyes as he feels the blow to the head. He's fighting hard to stay awake, but slowly, he begins to lose consciousness. How dare his body betray him? He needs to stay awake, he just has to. All he can see is the clouded silhouette of two men, hovering over him and smirking. I told you I'd get him, an all too familiar voice sounds of an old man, making him growl. Gunter! You traitor, he says, meaning to send it through his mind link. I hear you've been looking for me, little king, Noah says, smirking at him. He cackles, as the rogue king fights to stay awake, stumbling to get up. But the pain caused by the blow to his head is too intense. His head is throbbing, making his vision and ears ring, and his eyes slowly begin to shut on their own. The all-powerful rogue king himself, everyone. Noah says mockingly, extending his hands out as if he was presenting him. Poor Brandon Watson. He fought so hard for years to get this man and bring justice. Could fate really be against him to get his sister back? Just when he had found her, he had to run, and now, stood in front of his oppressor. Unconscious, and unable to defend himself. What do you want me to do with him? Gunter asks, gesturing to the unconscious body of Brandon, who Noah has been fearing for a while now. He's had enough of his threats. How is he going to allow a dumb 25-year-old take him down? He won't have it. He's a strong alpha. One of a kind. At least in his eyes, he is. Take him to the hillside pack. I'm sure Swan and his alpha will love to see him captured. This is where we end you, little king. I told you to stay away from me, boy. You and that nosy father of yours. I thought I had made myself clear to you back then when I left your daddy to die, but you just had to be stubborn, didn't you? You'll never see that pack again, boy. Mark my words, Silver Moon will never be yours again. You hear me? He says, cackling and kicking him on his stomach a few times. Little did Noah know, someone was watching him from afar. A young rogue girl hid out of sight. She feared being seen, and she did her best trying to keep her scent unnoticed, but she had to do something, anything. Even if she had to go against the king's words of never revealing his identity to anyone. No one knew the truth about him. No one, not even his closest warriors, knew his real name. Only 3 people knew of his true identity, the girl witnessing what was happening now, his dad, who was still being taken care of after he was left badly hurt by Gunter and Noah years ago, and Wesley Slate, his mentor and most trusted friend. Wesley was the man who found young Brandon. He was being mistreated by a group of rogues, who were treating him like a slave. They tortured him and made him do all kinds of insane requests like cleaning the excrement from the dungeons they used to incarcerate all of Noah and Alpha Swan's victims. Who were the supposed leaders of the underground cell of rogue girls to filthy men to use as personal slaves. They had too many girls lined up for their own good that they didn't want to make it seem evident, taking only the most beautiful ones back to their dungeons. They knew they could make more than double for those girls, so they had to keep them in closer sight than the rest to ensure themselves they didn't run away. Wesley was a rogue by choice who had found Brandon and saved him, fighting off and killing the rogues, and rescued the girls. Thanks to Wesley, he was now alive. He trained him, the boys and men he rescued, and vowed to protect the girls they had rescued. He had been forever in his debt, making sure to keep to his standards and follow in Wesley's footsteps. Wesley especially trained Brandon. He saw himself in him, reminding of what had happened to him, when he was stripped of his alpha title and had his pack stolen. Brandon and his family had suffered the same fate. He knew the kid's agony. Except Wesley had not just lost his pack, but he had made plenty of bad choices as a rogue, taking his anger out on the wrong people and stripping many other alphas who were innocent from their pack. If he couldn't take their pack, he took their mate out of anger, because his mate had planted the seed of evil in him, making him do ugly deeds for her, until the day came when she was badly injured too by none other than his sister-in-law, Emily Mitchell, the wife to his younger brother. His mate was left paralyzed from waist down, and no matter how many healers tried to help her, his mate Hope was unable to walk again. This made Wesley realize all the pain he had inflicted in the mates of those he had killed. After so many years of hoping to win his pack and territory again, he had messed up, listening to his mate by killing so many innocent people that when he realized how wrong he was, it was far too late. He was cursed by the elders, sentencing to become a rogue for the rest of his time. When he realized there were other alphas doing these things to the poor rogue girls, he had to do what was right and rescue them. He had to redeem himself, at least, by giving them a second chance to live. He never thought he'd end up rescuing so many kids that had been wrongfully stripped of their title by the greed of the leaders and their pack. Through his years, he did not just rescue Brandon, the son to the rightful alpha of Silver Moon Pack, but he rescued many other sons who suffered the same fate, daughters of alphas, daughters of betas, who daddy was so mad they were rejected that they preferred to get rid of them rather than stand by their kids' side. Fate was not always just for everyone. The other side of fate was cruel, bitter, and downright wrong. Brandon knew too well of the other side of fate. He had his pack, his family, and everything taken away from him. He felt he was cursed, maybe hexed. He had to be, since he hadn't even found his mate after so long, after all. And yet here was another sign for him, as he was being dragged away by Gunter to the hillside pack where Beta Swan was already waiting impatiently to give Brandon a nice welcome to their dungeon. "How am I going to rescue you this time, kid? I have to do something, anything. I can't stand by and let them hurt you. No. Not this time, Noah will not get away from us this time. I promise, kid, I will find you, just hold on." I'm coming, Wesley says as he thinks of a plan to rescue the king. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description.